Hello everyone, welcome back to The Prepared Mind. It is time for the weekly wrap up. Are we getting closer to shit hitting the fan, or are things getting better out there? Well, you could probably guess my answer, but I'm going to make you wait to listen to what I have to say. So welcome to everyone on YouTube and Patreon. If you, are just a YouTube member and not a Patreon member, you can, for $2 a month, support our channel, the research, the work that goes into this broadcast we do, the fact that we have the preparedmind.club, which is a online shopping and information source apart from Patreon. All that is supported and sponsored by you guys, and I want to thank you for it very, very much. Thank you, and thank you. Now, let's get into it. I just want to cover a few items, a few topics. Today, high noon, Pacific Standard Time, we'll be doing a live broadcast where I answer your direct questions. So if you have more questions, send them into Jolene, send them here. Send them on Facebook, everywhere you can. We'll see if we can get them all gathered up, and then we'll have a little Q&A. So, let's start with the the subject of, is the deep state, is the swamp being drained? Now, Donald Trump wanted to be elected on that. He was elected, and that was a big part of it. People voted not for Trump as much as they voted against Hillary Rodham Clinton. Right? We know she's crooked. She's caught committing numerous felonies, and the FBI said, well, we're not going to do anything about it. That is precisely, and that came out after the election, precisely why Trump was elected, to arrest that hag. Now, if she were arrested, if she were in jail, I might say that's an indicator that we're not going towards shit hitting the fan, that things could get cleaned up. Well, I'll tell you what, Hillary's still running around free. Hello. Same with Comey, Eric Holder, Susan Rice, Obama, Brennan, Clapper. Name it. Rosenstein is still in office. I want some arrests. Until then, I'm saying, look, these people, they're not going to give up. They're not going to go away. And we know. You can go on the internet and just type in Hillary Clinton crimes, and they'll come up. Right? James Comey, crimes. He has committed crimes. Look him up, and it'll tell you what he's done. Tell you who he's involved with. Right? What financial crimes have been committed? What other types of administrative and legal crimes they have committed? Right? If they were being arrested, I'd say things are getting better. They're not being arrested, which tells me they're fighting. They're resisting. They have blackmail. They are using extortion. They're using everything they can to retain their power. And not for good reasons. That tells me, yeah, scorched earth is a possibility. Shitting the fan is a greater possibility. Especially as we get closer to the midterm election, where the Democrats are hoping and praying and wanting to cheat their way in. You bet that the Democrats, that Hillary, who appears to be the leader de facto still, they want, to win this election, this season, and they could go absolutely bonkers. In fact, they really have. To talk about what's happened in just the last few weeks, we went from relative coolness, and it's just exploded. And it started with the Kavanaugh hearing, or the Kavanaugh appointment, then the appointment hearings. The Democrats have exploded and used that as a springboard, or rather a cannon, to just fire off on the political, what they call the political right, which is still not all that free, not all that liberty-minded. But be that as it may, Hillary and all of the criminals over there that have not been removed from the scene are still part of the scene, and in fact, they're ramping up their efforts. Are we getting closer to shit hitting the fan? Booker, Senator Booger, as I like to call him, he's calling for his political constituents, for people who are socialist, to stand up to oppose, to object, to make a fuss, right? To get in people's faces, to bully them, to push them around, to push back, right? Every time they talk about it, their level of negative discourse just goes up and up and up. They ratchet it up. Same with Maxi Pad Waters. I can't stand that woman. What has she done? She says, they're not to be allowed to get away with it. And this is crazy, ex-Attorney General Holder, who I never liked and never thought he should have held a position of that power. He just didn't ever, to me, seem to have that, I don't know, professional quality, that level. But I guess he did the job, huh? But what job did he do? Oh yeah, Fast and Furious, giving guns to foreign drug cartels and nationals, hoping that they would come back here so they could blame the Second Amendment. What a scumbag. Anyways, he's back. What's he doing? Right, he's telling, he goes, well, remember when the president or the first lady, Barack Obama, Hussein, Barry Soetoro's wife, Michael said, right, when they go low, we go high. And he quoted that. And then he says, no, when they go low, you kick them. And then he started backpedaling when he got called on his shit. Oh, no, I would never say anything that would cause violence. Well, then why did you say kick? Right, when you're supposed to be at that level, way up here, you're not supposed to make stupid comments that could be mistaken. Now, speaking of mistaken comments, they're not mistaken. This is what they mean. This is what they want. Hillary Clinton said she wants everyone to be uncivil because they're not getting their way, because there's a Republican president, a Republican Senate, and a Republican House of Representatives, and now a Republican or more conservative Supreme Court. They are to be uncivil until they get power back. So if you look at the antonym of civil, right, it is rude, uncivil, uncouth, right? Everything the opposite of civility and civilization is what they're supposed to be. In other words, right, if civility means to be nonviolent, right, incivility implies violence. So you don't have to say it. All they have to do is characterize, make an enemy, right? Characterize them or color them as bad, and then say be uncivil to them, and then let the lowbrow, idiotic, communist masses from college get out on the street and start attacking people. And they've done that. Are we getting closer to shit hitting the fan? Yes, we are. Right? Portland is a prime example because so much of that made it onto the news. Right? That was protesters in the street impeding traffic, damaging people's property and cars, and then assaulting people, beating them up, all while police watched and did nothing. Nothing to prevent it, nothing to stop it, nothing to dissuade the protesters. Right? If they're committing crimes in front of the police and the police are doing nothing, what do the protesters think? They're not a threat. The law, in other words, is not a threat. Criminal behavior is not being punished. Right? Criminal behavior is actually being encouraged. It's being encouraged by corrupt big city police departments. It's being encouraged by low-level, low-brow idiots like Maxine Waters and Booker. It's being encouraged by former heads, basically, of state, Eric Holder, and then Hillary Clinton, Secretary of State and presidential candidate. Are we getting closer to shit hitting the fan? You bet we are. And these people are leading the charge. I want to see them arrested, the likes of Hillary and Comey and others. Why? So that we have some confidence that as we head into this shitstorm of economic crap that's coming, that at least we have a government that has some semblance, some understanding of decency, morality, law. Right? It is crazy. I know that if I went out and committed a crime right now, I would be arrested. I would be charged, I would be tried, sentenced, convicted, and then punished. So that's going on there. But what am I talking about with economics? Well, this week was amazing, was it not? Here we are, just less than a month, 3+ weeks before we get to the midterm election, and lo and behold, the economy, the economic understanding of the masses, right? It was revealed to them through the stock market, which normal Americans think is the economy. It's not the economy, but it's what they use as a measuring stick, a temperature gauge to tell them how things are doing. Well, the stock market took a shit, right, on Wednesday. Took a shit. 831 points, I believe, down on the Dow. All the other indexes went down as well. The NASDAQ, the Russell, the S&P, all of them went down, right? And it kind of is a twofold prediction of mine made way back in February when we had that correction. Finally, we had a major correction, right? And I said, whoops, that's it. That's the signal. We've got 6 months to 18 months before we have a full-on crash. And by crash, I mean we could end up 30, 40, 60, 80% down on the economic indexes, the Dow Jones, in other words. And but I said, when you take that and you combine that with a midterm election, the need for it to go down now has a political impetus behind it. Right? It'll be beneficial to the Democrats to show the economy is in bad shape. Right, not using all the phony baloney, plastic banana, good time rock and roll bullshit numbers coming out of the Trump administration, which every president uses, I know. I'm not making fun of Trump, I'm just saying they're bullshit numbers. Right, we see the real numbers and we're like, uh-oh, and what happens, right? We get a crash. So there is a political benefit to the Democrats. Now, unlike the thing they want us to believe, which is, well, Democrats are for the working people. Democrats are for the little man. Democrats aren't rich. Bullshit. There are millionaires, there are mega billionaires, and lots of them that are Democrats. You bet they are. You got Mark Cuban. Right, there's one for you. How about George Soros? Is that a big enough name? How about all of his buddies? Anyone has dinner with that piece of shit, you can pretty much guess is a Democrat or a Democrat supporter. They can crash the market. This week, the single biggest ever high-yield corporate bond sell-off occurred in one day. Highest ever, bar none, anytime ever. They didn't even say, well, if you inflation adjust 1929. They didn't say that. In one day, $5 billion in corporate bonds were dumped. Right? The next day, or the day after that, we saw what? Stock market crash. And then the day after that, Thursday, what happened? Another day down 550-ish points. My chart kept going up and down a little bit, but it was well over 500 points down. And then Friday, yeah, it went up, it went down, it was negative for a little bit, then it started to come back up, and it finished a couple hundred points up, but with a net down day. Now, I've talked about in the past how the stock market goes way up, and then it has a slip, a correction, and then it goes back up, and you have a few months where it goes up and down, and it can even go above the all-time high again, but eventually it tanks and goes to the bottom. It happened in 1929. It happened in 1987. It happened in the tech boom, the 2000 crash. And it also happened in 2008. The one difference between those four examples I cite is that in 2008, the initial correction happened in 2007, and it was 18 months. It wasn't the 6 months away. They had an extra year on there. And then it went to crap. That's why I say it should be happening right now. And it looks like it is. But it could last one more year. And with the manipulative ability of the Federal Reserve, the Exchange Stabilization Fund, also known as the Plunge Protection Team, with those bodies in place, they can hold up an economy a lot longer than they otherwise would be. How? By printing money. By introducing currency so that people or banking institutions can buy things up and artificially make things look like, well, there's still a big demand for it and lots of money to buy it. That's what we've got going. But it is my opinion that they're going to want to show between now and the election that the economy is shit because they want Trump to be blamed for it, but he's going to blame the Federal Reserve and their interest rates. I'm already blaming the pullout by the wealthy out of those corporate bonds, that was huge. They're selling off big time right now. Right? So there is a battle royale on the stock market. And it's going to have an effect on the election. I hope the Democrats don't get any power because they are just absolute douchebags. But that being said, right, it goes without saying, we could very well have the economy held up. But we are heading towards shit hitting the fan. Governments are doing poorly. There is emerging market crisis or third world economic crisis. There are huge tensions between China and the United States and the United States and the EU and everyone else. Everyone is getting very upset, very tense. This week, another thing that happened that was a huge indicator, as we know, right? Well, Poland. Everyone's like, Poland. Poland's buying gold. Followed later in the week by Egypt and India. Now, not the people, but the governments, their central banks are buying gold. So is Russia. So is China. Germany got their gold back. Everyone wants their gold back. Why? Why? Because when someone takes the board and turns the game pieces over, if you're not holding your own gold, how do you know where it is and who has it? And is it safe? Right? But also, what's it going to be used for? Why do they want this gold? I think we're heading into a place in the very near future where no government is going to accept the currency of another government because they're all being manipulated. Japan is already overprinted. China is overprinting. The United States, with quantitative easing, that is fucking money printing. There is so much currency out there that how do you know what it's worth? Right now they're saying the dollar's strong. Well, the dollar could collapse, so they print more dollars to flood the market. Well, that should make it weaker, but it screws with everybody else. So I think that for purposes of international trade, governments are going to use gold as a payment system ultimately for squaring or ending transactions. At the end of the year, how much does someone owe the other person? Pay in gold. It'll keep them honest. That's the gold standard that I think is coming. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be scary. You need to be ready. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense. Have a plan and test that plan by creating scenarios in your mind, because it is getting stupid. And the people that are out there, these little communists, they are the Hitler Youth. They are Hitler's brown shirts. They are Lenin's Bolshevik scumbags. And they're running loose. And when shit hits the fan, all they need is an excuse to act up. And all they need is law enforcement to be absent. And you can bet that you will be on your own, that you need to protect yourself, and that you can only rely on yourself, your group, those in your community who are decent. So get prepared now. Chance favors the prepared mind is yours. I'll see you at high noon. You guys be cool, be safe, and go to thepreparedmind.club if you need any help. Also, right, Semper Fi. I'll talk to you guys very soon.